All right, so now we're going to share the screen and go through these slides. So this section is called, get my thing to show here. So this is out of the Matrix Session 11, Orange Juice, the Driving Force, or
How the Matrix brings up your being.
all right. So question for you is, when you squeeze an orange, what comes out?
So somebody unmute your mark, your squeezing an orange. Tell us what comes out.
Juice.
Yeah. So
Yeah, what kind of juice?
Orange juice.
Orange juice. There's the question. Why does orange juice come out of an orange when you squeeze it?
Because there's orange juice in the orange.
Because it's
There
in
you go, Charlotte. Because it's in there. Because you squeeze an orange juice has to come out. Why? Because it's in there. All right, you get to watch all of this animation one more time here. Why? Because it's in there, right?
So
if
if
it
you-
wasn't in there, you could squeeze an orange and it wouldn't come out, right?
So squeeze you and anger comes out. Why?
Because the anger's in us.
Yes, because it's in
There
there.
you go. Cool, Charlotte. That's it. If the anger was not in you, it would not come out when you were squeezed, your button gets pushed, whatever phrase you want to use there, right? If it wasn't already in there, it wouldn't come out. So when someone squeezes you or pushes your button and you say something like, "You made me angry," that's a false belief. That is a total false belief. If the anger wasn't in there, they could squeeze as hard as they wanted and it would not come out.
And one of the reasons we know that's the case, folks, is because two people can go through the same experience. One can be angry about it and the other one can be a complete peace. So we know it's about what's inside of the person. It isn't the event that's occurring in front of them or what's being said to them, because the experience of those events is internally produced. You produce your experience of those events always, 100% of the time. So it is your responsibility. You're the one getting squeezed. You're the one who's got the anger in you. All right. So in this anger or whatever it is that comes out, whether it's anger, when you get squeezed, not just anger can come out, sadness can come out, fear can come out, all kinds of lovely things can come out. Peace, love, and joy can come out. I guess you're not really getting squeezed necessarily if that happens, but it will be there and you will project it until you understand the driving force. Tony, you want to tell them about the driving force? Go ahead.
Yeah, but what you said is just so true, Chris. If someone squeezes you, love can come out. If that's the only thing that's in there, that's the only thing that can come out. And if someone pushes your button or squeezes you, they're calling for that love. Now, I know that's not what the Matrix teaches you. The Matrix teaches you if they push your button, you need to get angry back at them and you need to get them to stop that and you need to change their behavior. But what they're really doing is they're asking for help. Now, that's not the Matrix way of thinking. But love can come out when you get squeezed, if that's all that's in there, and then you will give them what they really need. They don't know it, but that's what they really need. All right. So driving force.
And this,
right.
And what Tony's talking about sort of harkens back to the section we covered on the subconscious mind. Remember, the two things that we're given, tools that were given by the subconscious mind to deal with stuff, are projection and denial. And so what Tony's talking about is people project their stuff. And you can recognize they're projecting their stuff. And if it lands on you and upsets you, then they've gotten in touch with your stuff. And that's when you've got an opportunity to look at what's going on inside of you. So driving force. Tony, talk to him about the driving force.
So your driving force is that you're responsible for what you think, feel, and do. And your driving force is going to be that which is inside of you, the beliefs that you hold. All right. So we'll break that down for you here. All right. You're never upset for the reason you think. Take that in just a moment.
Yeah, the Matrix says the reason is out there, of course. And the reason, but the reason is a belief we hold and it drives our behavior.
All right. So everybody remember that sheet that we all went over, the iceberg beliefs worksheet that you all filled out and checked off all those boxes like, I'm not lovable, I don't matter, I'm not important, I've been abandoned, I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough, all that whole sheet. Those are the beliefs that you hold and they are inside of you. That's what comes out when you get squeezed, and it will drive your behavior. Okay.
One of the things we didn't mention on the weekend, I don't think we told this story, but if you got called a yellow Volkswagen, would you have any charge about that? Probably not. You wouldn't relate to that at all. It probably wouldn't upset you at all. But if someone called you an asshole or a jerk or rude or insensitive, the only reason that would upset you is you would believe it on some level. It has to resonate inside of you on some level. So when you get called a yellow Volkswagen and it doesn't resonate, that's because you have no belief associated with a yellow Volkswagen. But if someone calls you rude or insensitive and you get upset by that, on some level, you must believe that about yourself. Otherwise, it would not resonate and squeeze you, as we're talking about in this section.
Okay. And then your driving force would be love.
Yes.
Okay. So the driving force is a belief / emotion that drives your upsets and your behavior. Remember the creative process that we brought into the Outer Matrix weekend in Vero Beach. You have a belief. The belief produces thoughts. Those thoughts produce emotions. And then those will produce a behavior, and then you get an experience. So your driving force is some belief that you're holding. The I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I don't matter, I'm not important. Right? All that goes on that sheet. And that drives our upsets and our behaviors.
And it's a belief that is held in our subconscious, and it keeps us in the matrix. Remember, Tony talked about the sheet. This is our iceberg worksheet. And remember, the iceberg, 10% of your thinking is conscious and 90% of it's subconscious. And that subconscious is where all the guilt and fear and upset usually ends up. And that's what keeps us in the matrix, is that stuff that's in our subconscious mind.
So, Chris, you and I as we've been teaching this, we keep saying that 90% is really more than that. That 10% is pretty generous. And I just heard that psychologists are now shifting their model to 95% subconscious, 5% conscious.
Isn't that nice of them to match us? Yes.
Yeah, they finally caught up, you know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay,
So remember that driving force, all right? So you've got these beliefs down there. Those beliefs produce emotions. Now, it doesn't mean you'll always feel them. You're going to feel them when your button gets pushed, when you get squeezed. That's when the emotion is going to come out. Because remember, the subconscious is a mechanism of denial, a mechanism of dissociation. To use psychological terms, it's a mechanism whereby we can shove this down, dissociate from it, not even know it's there, and not feel the feelings directly. Now, we will have, as Chris and I have talked about, that undercurrent of just discomfort that we really can't put our finger on. That a lot of times we get busy and we don't know that it's there, but it's always there. It's a discomfort, which is why most people get into addictions. They're trying to overcome, or if you would, satiate that discomfort through alcohol, through drugs, through overeating, through shopping, through workaholism, right? That kind of thing. And what they're trying to overcome or satiate is that discomfort from that underlying feeling that's in your subconscious. However, when you get squeezed, it will come to the surface.
And I also just want to throw out the idea that, Tony talked about the addictions, whether it's drugs, alcohol, gambling, all those kind of things, TV, but also we can trick ourselves into thinking that I'm doing something that's productive for myself, and it's really just another avoidance tool. So sometimes we can get addicted to information and believing that there's just more information out there, and I'm consuming mass amounts of information, trying to understand everything. And sometimes that can become an addiction. And just a tool for me to avoid being present with myself is this desire to gather information all the time and understand everything that's going on. So that, there are different ways that look better than maybe alcoholism and drug addiction that we also use to avoid being present with ourselves.
Very good. All right.
All right, we got two
So
people.
just keep that in mind, right?
Yeah, keep that in mind there. So we got two people go to a party, each believing they're not good enough. Tell them about these people, Tony.
All righty. So this is one of those subconscious beliefs, right? I'm not good enough. Now, one person with that I'm not good enough belief might show up at that party as very shy and very bashful. They'll sit in the corner and maybe, hold a drink in their hand so they look like they're participating and hope nobody asks them to dance. On the other hand, you've got another person with the same belief, I'm not good enough. and they're going to be the class clown. They're going to be the show off. They're going to be the one out there in the middle of the party, just whooping it up and having fun. And it is real hard to get that the form is different, but the content is the same. They have the very same driving force driving those two different behaviors.
And this is a great concept, folks. And one of the interesting things about this is, as I've coached people and processed people through their upsets, more often than not, I can take them to the place where they realize the person they're upset with probably has the exact same false belief that they do. In fact, most of the people who push our buttons, especially, significantly, generally have the same belief that we have once we do a little digging and find out that they're really not that dissimilar from ourselves. So this is a key concept for you guys to look at.
It really is. Thanks, Chris, for bringing that up, because what you're really seeing there is the law of attraction. Chris and I have been telling you guys the law of attraction is like the law of gravity. It works 24/7, just like gravity, whether you know it or not. And you're attracting these people into your life. And it gets real hard to see that when they show up completely differently than you do, when they have a different behavior than you do, and you can't see where the similarity is because you're looking at the form. The shy and bashful person looks at the clown and goes, oh my gosh, I'm nothing like them. I could never do that. And the clown looks at the shy bashful person and goes, what are they doing, man? They're just over there in the corner hiding out. Let's have some fun. Let's party, right? So yeah, you've got to get law of attraction is working once again. You have attracted someone into your life that has the same belief you do, and they're usually the people you don't like.
And this is often a revelatory awareness for people to realize that the person that they're most upset with actually has similar beliefs to them, and it can create some understanding and some empathy, and the idea that I need to extend love to that person might be much more relevant, much more easy to do when I realize they might have the same false belief that I have. So let's look at another scenario here. So I got two people who are insulted, each believing they're not good enough. One returns the insult, the other one cries. Different behavior, same driving force. So one of the questions we ask in this section is, the person who returns the insult, when we talk about our true colors, we talked about golds, oranges, blues, greens. Who would most likely return the insult? Please unmute yourself if you have an idea and tell me, who do you think would return the insult? The orange, the blue, the green, or the gold would be the most likely to return an insult?
Probably the orange.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Probably so. Probably so.
And who would be most likely to cry?
Blue.
Yeah, probably a blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably a blue. Now, this isn't a hard fasting. It isn't always that way. But generally, yeah, you just nailed it. That orange is going to just rip right back the person. The blue is going to get off in the corner and cry about it.
But again, in this scenario, as you watch these two people, they can both be insulted at the same time by the same person. One can get angry and return the insult, and the other one can cry. And you would not imagine, again, that these folks have to have the same false belief. They're showing up totally differently on the level of form. It looks very different, but the same thing is going on for them in their subconscious mind. They've just chosen different ways to deal with it.
Okay. So they have the very same driving force. One drives the anger, the other one drives the tears, but it's the same driving force. All right, same driving force. So everybody kind of think about this. Just think about how different people react to things, and they do it generally with their color. That's what's going on here. All right, but here's what you got to keep in mind, they have the very same driving force. I remember in the last weekend, Chris, Myra was there, remember? And Myra was going through her exercise, and she kept talking about this asshole, right? With a bit of emotion and volume to her voice. And when she realized that she had the very same belief that he did, she just yelled out, "Oh my God."
Yeah, totally changed her energy. Changed her energy.
Yeah, same driving force, folks.
All right, let's look at a couple more people here. So, as we reclaim our power, and get out of the matrix. Our beliefs begin to produce different emotions and drive different behavior, which produces different results. And what we mean by reclaim our power, remember we talked about this on the weekend, the true power you have is the power of choice. You have a choice of how you experience and how you react to everything that happens around you. And when you own that power, you can choose how you react to someone shooting their bullets at you, someone trying to project onto you, someone trying to push your button. when you own your power, you can make a choice. You don't automatically have to respond in any particular way. You can choose how you respond when you get out of the matrix.
And the cool thing is, as Chris mentioned earlier, you know, you get squeezed, love can come out. As your beliefs begin to change, as you begin to change your matrix beliefs to out of the matrix beliefs, you begin to operate more on that peace, love, joy, self-worth, acceptance that every one of you in all the over 50 classes that Chris and I have done, everyone comes up with those same answers: peace, love, joy, self-worth, acceptance. And we now added in freedom because that comes up a lot. But when you change your beliefs, now you're going to have different emotions. Your emotions will now be peace, love, joy, acceptance. And that is definitely going to drive a different behavior. And believe me, you will have different results. And those results are called your life.
So let's look at a couple people here that have different primary beliefs about themselves, different driving forces. So two people are insulted, one believing they're not good enough, the other being in their power. Tell them what this looks like, Tony.
All right. So now we get insulted, right? And what they're insulted by the same person, same words, same intensity. One of them gets hurt or angry. We saw those, right? And the other one stays secure and peaceful. Wow. Different driving force. That's all that's going on there. And they will get different results, folks. And we've all been there. We've had our buttons pushed and we got angry at the person. We got hurt by the person. We got sad. We let them know how hurt we were. And those results came from there. But when you really get that and really start shifting your belief system, that driving force will shift. And believe me, your life will have different results, secure and peaceful.
And this
Wow.
is why, folks, we go over that section with conscious and subconscious mind. We realize that those false beliefs mostly exist in our subconscious mind, and we need to dip into our subconscious mind, access those false beliefs so that we can challenge them. But unless we identify that they even exist and know that they're there, there's not much we can do about it. So we want to make sure we're dipping into our subconscious mind, identify this stuff, make it conscious, and then recognize how it's not true about ourselves. And we did quite a bit of work on that over the weekend, helping people recognize that.
All right, so let's see where we go from here. All right, so here's a key point for you. As we give up our matrix thinking, we begin to get what we want more than anything else. And there's that list: your peace of mind, your love, your joy, your acceptance, your sense of worth, what we have termed as your happiness or your power, right? The happiness or your power. Chris, do you remember, because we always called it happiness, and in one of your classes, I believe it was one of your students who talked about it being power.
Yeah, we had a student who asked us what we thought of pot, of marijuana, like, and I asked her, well, why are you asking? She goes, because I think it's powerful. And I said, really, why do you think it's powerful? And she said, well, when she's high, she feels powerful. And what we walked her through was the idea that in her life when she was sober, all the pain and uncomfort of her false beliefs was coming up, and it made her uncomfortable. When she got high, she forgot about those false beliefs, let them go, and she felt okay. And I said, and she explained that to her, and she totally understood that. And I said, what we want to help you do is get to your power without having to be high, because you can't go, well, you could go through life high all the time, but it's not a very successful strategy. And so that's when we decided to shift to your true power, because that's what we're helping people get to. Instead of using some sort of outside source, whether it's drugs, alcohol, food, TV, something else, so we can feel powerful, we wanted people to get in touch with their power naturally. In other words, get rid of the false belief, reduce the number of the false belief in my mind, make it smaller and smaller and smaller, shrink my button, as it were. And then by doing that, I get in touch with my powerful being, how powerful I am. But that was one of that was the exchange that caused us to put that word power in there.
So it says here, out of our matrix thinking, realize, folks, what we're trying to get to with this entire weekend is to get you to look at the beliefs you hold that drive the thoughts, that drive the emotions. And as you begin to work through your thinking and look at your beliefs and you begin to shift them, you will shift yourself, and then you're going to get exactly what you said you wanted, folks. You're going to have that peace, love, joy, acceptance, self-worth. It's there for you, but you have to get in touch with what you're thinking, what you're believing. So now we're going to show you how a good way to get in touch with that.
So a belief, emotion, again, the driving force is a belief or emotion that drives or our upset and our behavior, okay? It's a belief that's held in our subconscious and keeps us in the matrix. We've covered that extensively. So you guys did this over the weekend when we did the worksheet that Tony held up several times and pointed to. That iceberg worksheet lists all those false beliefs. That's your driving force. And again, we want to emphasize that not everyone doesn't have just one false belief. We generally have quite a few false beliefs, and they exist on different levels at different times in our lives, and they pop up. And in other words, I might feel not good enough more at work and less at home, or I might feel not worthy more at home and less at work, or more around my friends and less with my family. So it varies how it shows up in our life, but we want to understand that as much as we can. That's why we do our How You Do It worksheet.
Okay. So your driving force. So we don't, since we're doing this tonight, online, we don't have the worksheets for you to fill out, but just take a moment to think about that. What is your driving force? What is the belief that you're holding that drives you to behave the way you do when someone pushes your button, when someone squeezes you? There's a belief in there, folks. Has to be, because that belief produces thoughts. Those thoughts produce emotions. When that emotion hits you, you either get sad and cry, or you might get angry and yell back at them. So really get in touch as best you can with those subconscious beliefs, because until you do, you're stuck in the matrix. There's no other way to do it. It's where you default. Okay, you default to matrix thinking because we've been thinking matrix thinking all of our lives. Right.
So there's
all of our lives.
And there's a key question at the bottom of the screen there. So if somebody has an answer to this, please unmute and answer. How do you get in touch with them? So Tony's saying that, and he's absolutely right, that these false beliefs exist in our subconscious mind. How do we get in touch with them? Anybody know?
Yes.
Give it to me.
Sylvia.
So when you feel upset, hurt, then that's something going on. That's a wrong belief. Like the other day, I felt upset because my cousin didn't return my call. Actually, 3 of my cousins, and I felt bad, but I didn't know what it was. So I sat down and then I said, what is it? And then the thought, I am not lovable by my cousins right now, came to me. And I realized that it was wrong, because I know they love me. The fact that they didn't call me back, that doesn't mean that they don't love me. But how do you know? Is when you have a negative feeling that upsets you, that either makes you cry or makes you feel, hurt. That's how you know.
Yeah, something other than makes you feel something other than peace, love, and joy.
Awesome, Sylvia. That is awesome. And Sylvia is an engineer. So what she just did is reverse engineer that. Okay. She started with, you've got a belief that leads to a thought that leads to a feeling. And all she did was start with the feeling and then reverse it. Okay, if I'm feeling this way, what's the thought? Well, the thought is my cousins don't love me. Well, what's the belief? I'm not lovable. Great job, Sylvia. Great job. Okay?
So here's just another way to say what Sylvia just said. When someone squeezes you, that's how you get in touch with the false belief. That's how you get in touch with what's going on in your subconscious mind when someone squeezes you. And as Sylvia pointed out, when you're feeling something other than peace, love, and joy, you know that a button has gotten pushed, and it's an opportunity to get in touch with that false belief in your subconscious mind and bring it to consciousness and do exactly what Sylvia did, which was say to herself, is it true that my cousins find me unlovable? No, that absolutely is not true. That is not what's happening. And I'm imagining for Sylvia, that gave her some sense of relief.
Okay. Now remember that Chris and I, right from Friday night on, we kept saying that you are a limitless being. You are a limitless being. So when you're doing this reverse engineering, where you get down to a question you can ask yourself is, can a limitless being be not lovable? Well, no. Can a limitless being be not good enough? Well, no. And that's who you really are. And that will give you somewhere to go to. Okay, that will replace the belief, I'm not lovable, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy. And you will get right back to who you really are, this limitless being that you were created to be. But you have to catch it, because if you don't catch it, you will default to the matrix and you'll do what everybody else in the matrix does, and you'll get angry, you'll get hurt, you'll get sad. All right. And I could kind of tell Sylvia would have gotten a little sad because she thought, well, my cousins don't love me. Right? That'd be a sadness. but that wasn't what was going on. You know, we go there immediately. Why do you go there immediately? Because you carry the belief, I'm not lovable. All right. But in truth, her cousins could have been very busy. Her cousins could have been taking care of an emergency. We have no idea what was going on for your cousins, why they didn't call Sylvia, right? But she immediately went to that place of, oh, I'm hurt. I'm sad. They didn't call me when they said they would. And then she got right to the belief, folks. There's where you go. And as Chris just said, I want to repeat it again. You can know when you've got an untrue belief. I'm going to go back to the guidance system I shared with you earlier. When you're feeling something other than peace, love, and joy, it simply means a belief that isn't true got activated. That's all that means. When you're not feeling peace, love, joy, and that's my umbrella statement for, for enthusiasm, for passion, etc. But when you're not feeling peace, love, and joy, all that means your guidance system is simply telling you, wait a minute, there's a belief that isn't true, but you've got to catch it. As Chris said earlier, you've got choice. That's your biggest power. Your biggest power is your ability to choose. But if you don't stop and choose, you're going to default right into the old matrix behavior that we've all been doing all of our lives. And we see everybody else around us doing. All right.
And Sylvia.
So we've got to, go ahead.
I was going to say Sylvia's choice in that moment was, let me understand what's really going on for me, because I understand that I'm creating this upset for myself. Let me understand. Let me make the choice to look inside of myself, understand what's going on inside of me, and undo this upset for myself. That's the choice that she made. Whereas most people, as Tony described, would let the freight train go. They would be upset with their cousins, and that's just the way their mind would head, and they wouldn't do any self-examination. But she made a different kind of a choice, and that's the choice we ask you to make in Out of the Matrix, is examine what it is in your thinking that is creating your upset. Examine that, understand that, and you will probably, most definitely, get some relief.
Okay. So please understand, folks, you getting out of the matrix is your choice. Chris and I can share all this information with you. We can show you these different things to look out for, et cetera, et cetera. But the bottom line is you have free will. You were created as a limitless being with free will. So you can choose to look at that, examine that, and get yourself out, or you can choose to stay in, which is what you're doing when you don't choose to get out. It's a default setting. If you don't make that choice, like Sylvia just did, to go, wait a minute, I need to look at this. What's the belief that has me feeling this way? Remember the line we shared with you? What is it I am believing that would have me feel this way? Now, Sylvia may not have said those exact words, but that's exactly what she did, right? What is it I'm believing that would have me feel this way? And if you don't go there, it's okay. You've got free will. You don't have to go there. Just know that you're keeping yourself in the matrix.
Yeah, and it will not be happy results. All right, so these false beliefs, you get in touch with them when your subconscious belief gets pushed or squeezed. So let's ask this question. Oops, I went back a slide apparently. Oh, all right. So when someone squeezes you and a false belief becomes conscious, so you can let go of it and find your happiness / power, are they a villain or a true friend? So we see all these people that are supposedly, I'm putting up quotations here, upsetting us, making us angry, making us sad, and we're calling them the villain or something worse. And is that the case? If you do what Sylvia just did with your upsets, are they really a villain or are they your true friend? Somebody can.
You got that slide there, Chris, with that question on it?
Is it not showing up?
No, right now I'm just seeing everybody's beautiful face, which is good, but we don't see the slide.
You don't see any slides at all?
No, anybody else see a slide? Shake your heads. Let me know. Anybody else see a slide? Nope, we're getting all no's out there. None of us see a slide.
Hang on a second. For some reason, I stopped sharing my screen.
All right, so there's the question Chris just posed to you. Okay, he's going to get it up here even bigger for us so we can really look at that question and ponder it. When someone squeezes you, pushes your button, right? And a false belief becomes conscious, so you can let go of it and find your happiness, your power. Now think about this. Are they a villain like we would normally think they are? Or are they a true friend? What do you think? Go ahead and unmute yourself when you come to a conclusion on that one. Are they a villain or a true friend?
Can I answer it?
Yes.
You sure can.
So in my case, it was a villain for a moment because I felt bad. But then once I realized it was me thinking they don't love me, and then I realized that's not true, I said, wow, this is a true friend that is helping me become a better person.
That's a great description, Sylvia. That's exactly right. At first, I mean, that's perfect. We could say just a true friend, but in honesty, most of us see him as a villain initially. But if you go through what Sylvia went through and in her mind and figured out what was really going on, they become a true friend. That's fantastic.
Okay, I
Yeah.
have a-
Now, do they
I have a-
need to know that they are your true friend?
No.
No.
They don't
Yeah,
need to know.
Charlie?
They don't need to know any of this happened at all.
No.
Charlotte?
Well, yeah, I looked at that can be both ways. You could have somebody that really keeps coming at you time and time and time again, and you learn you've got that, like in the Matrix, the bullets, they keep falling off, you don't react to it. But is that a true friend? I mean, is that something you really want to keep, somebody who keeps throwing insults at you? Is that somebody you want in your life? I mean, you can not react to those insults, but if somebody is continually treating you poorly,
Yeah.
why
well-
do you want to be their friend? Why?
Well, no,
To me, they would be a villain.
Charlotte, I'm going to interrupt you. I'm just going to say, we're not saying that you have to spend time with this person. We're not saying they have to, we're saying true friend and they helped you figure out your false belief and get in touch with it. We're not saying then that means you need to spend more time with them. We're not talking friendship like you're going to be friends with them and hang out with them all the time. If someone keeps insulting you and keep doing that, you can absolutely make the choice to not
Okay.
spend time with them. But what we're saying in this instance is they're being a true friend in that they're helping you get in touch with your false belief.
Okay.
Yeah, and again, they don't even need to know it. Now, I would add this little caveat to that, Charlotte. If they keep pushing throwing the insults at you, and you keep having a negative feeling come up, then that's something you need to look at.
Right.
Because remember law of attraction.
Right.
Once you clear the belief, they will leave. They will leave. They will get out of your life.
Okay, that's true. If they don't get a reaction out of you, that they're not having any more fun, they're not being validated. So they go elsewhere to get there. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and we go
Yeah,
back.
you got it.
And we go back to this slide where we talked about the law of attraction. And again, when you've got a false belief on board, you're going to attract people that are going to want to push that button. When your button disappears, they're going to move on to somebody else.
Okay, I gotcha.
All right, let's go back down here.
All right. So this is a question that we would always ask, and it was hard for some people to get to that. But if what you're really after, if what you want more than anything else is your peace, your love, and your joy, okay, and someone helps you get there by pushing your button, then they're taking you exactly where you want to go. So they're your true friend. So again, they don't need to know that. Okay, they really don't. This is all inside of you. But you can know, wow, thank you. As a matter of fact, try this one out. The next time someone insults you and you can do this real quickly and get back to your peace, just turn to them and instead of yelling back at them, just go, wow, thank you. And see how they react. They will not know how to react, I promise you.
I mean, it's as simple as when you're dealing with the angry grocery store clerk who's in a bad mood and you're friendly and respectful and nice to them, no matter how rude they are to you, they have no idea how to handle that situation. They're so used to, they project their stuff out. They're projecting their anger and their upset out. They're going to get that back from the customer. When you're peaceful and enjoy and love, despite their anger and upset, people are sort of taken aback by that. It's an interesting experience. So when someone squeezes you, trying to get your power back by becoming angry won't work. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah. You just gave your power to the anger. Okay. You just gave your power to the anger and it'll come back because in doing that, you have not gotten rid of that false belief. Okay. As a matter of fact, not only have you not gotten rid of it, you just strengthened it. Nothing stays the same. Okay, it's either growing or dying. That's just the way the world works. So if you don't do something about it, and that anger, even if you shove it down, let's say you bite your tongue. Remember the old thing, bite your tongue and don't say anything. If you haven't really looked at the belief to get rid of the belief, now all you've got is a sore tongue, and it will come back. Okay, so you cannot get your power back. Okay, it won't work to get angry. And I think I see it coming. Here it is. You can't get your power back by taking it from someone else. That's what anger is. Someone just hit you with seemingly their power, not their good power, their matrix power. Now you want to get that power back, so you get angry and you yell a little bit louder. And then they yell a bit louder and really call you a bigger name. You're having a battle of power. That's all anger is doing. And in truth, you're both losing your power. Okay? I think we got an example of that, don't we?
We do. And think about how silly this is. In the world, most people are trying to get their power from other people. I mean, just think about that for a second. Just think about the fact that most people are going around trying to get their power in some way, shape, or form from someone else. That's the way they live their lives. And based on what we're teaching in this weekend, that's the most ridiculous attempt in the world. You can't get power from anybody else. Your power is an internal experience. So the fact that you're trying to get it and that most people are trying to get their power from other people is just, quite frankly, silly. And here's a great example.
This is from
Kung Fu Panda.
He's the villain in Kung Fu Panda.
Panda's the good guy.
And there's Po down on the ground. He just got hammered by.
The power of the Dragon Scroll is mine. It's nothing.
Oh, it's okay. I didn't get it the first time either.
What?
There is no secret ingredient. It's just you.
So you're not going to get your power from a magic scroll. Your power is inside of you.
Okay. You remember that video we showed on Saturday? I believe it is, Chris, isn't it? We showed a video on Saturday where finally Pope figures it out. There is no secret ingredient.
Sorry about that. Go ahead, Tony.
Tai Lung here get his power back by beating up Po. And Po goes, that's okay. I didn't get it the first time either. So I love that, because instead of responding defensively, instead of responding with anger or hurt, Po extended love to him by just saying, that's okay. I didn't get it the first time either.
Yeah. He just got, think about the giant swath of earth that just got damaged, and he just got crushed into that. And he gets up and says, yeah, I didn't get it the first time either. It's not like he got angry, got upset, and tried to fight back with the guy. He was in his peace. All right, so we go to our red pill list here as we finish off this section. The last one we did, which from last week, was as your story shifts, your life will shift. And remember, your story is essentially your false belief, your story about yourself. As that shifts, your life will shift. And we add to that, your driving force dictates how you show up. So that driving force is that false belief that you have in your subconscious mind, and that dictates how you show up in any particular moment.
Now, if your driving force is love, like it was for Po, you're going to show up differently. You're going to show up accepting. You're going to show up going, oh, that's okay. I didn't get it either. You know, are you okay? Right? If someone comes at you with anger, try this sometime. And you're going to have to get rid of some of your negative driving force, those matrix beliefs, before you can try this. But try this sometime. Someone comes up and gets angry with you, and you just look at him and go, wow, are you okay? You seem to be upset. Try that on somebody when they yell at you or scream at you or insult you. They won't know what to do.
Yeah, it really takes people aback when that happens. So I'm going to take us out of screen share here for a second. I can.
And it doesn't look like we're going to have time to get into victim land, because that's one we spend a bit of time on as well. Maybe we can open it up and see if anybody has any questions or comments, or some of you have been doing this for a while. So maybe you have something you want to share about how you've done that and got to that belief and let it go. So anyone?
Yeah, any questions or
Yeah,
comments?
Wendy. Yeah, Wendy's there. Go ahead, Wendy.
Hi, okay. So I have a question about what we were just talking about, what Sylvia was talking about, and, uncovering the false beliefs and all. And you had said, okay, so when you uncover the false belief, the person will like be out of your life. Or, no, it wasn't Sylvia, because that was her cousin. She doesn't want them out of her life. But it was, I forgot who said it. I'm sorry. Anyway, so
It was Charlotte.
okay, so Charlotte, yeah. So recently, my husband and I had a little thing, and he was upset because I was late. And I knew, I could tell he was upset. He was just kind of shoving it down. And so I asked him, do you want to, try to uncover the false belief? And eventually, he did say that he did want to do that. And so we did uncover one. He uncovered one, I should say. And so that was good. And then the question came up, well, so, if you, what happens, when you do it again? And I said, well, I guess it depends on how you react, if that happens again, which it probably will, right? I will probably be late again. And, and it's, if you are not feeling, happy, then that false belief is still there. And, so I guess he was saying, well, but I cleared that false belief. And, so it was kind of like, well, I don't know. It's not totally cleared, right? If you would have that same reaction again. And if it is cleared, does that mean that I won't be late anymore? That's, I guess, my question.
People are a couple things. First of all, it's very, 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 very rare for someone to clear a belief in one opportunity. It usually takes multiple opportunities to dig around and get in touch with that false belief. And remember, the way we described it is put it on a scale from 1 to 10. It gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So your button gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So it's harder and harder to push. So that's one thing. And no, people are going to be late. Things are going to happen. But one of the other techniques that I use for this is, and it depends on how big the false belief is, of course, right? If the false belief is an 8 or a 9, this is really hard to do. But as the number gets lower, you ask people, how badly do you want to be in peace, love, and joy? Because being upset about this is taking you out of your peace, love, and joy. And you can make a choice to say, I choose not to be upset because I want my peace, love, and joy. That's what I want more than anything. So that's the choice I make in this moment. But no, maybe you might show up late less often, but what will happen is he will stop reacting. He'll be more loving and understanding of what's going on because that's more important to him. But he's got to get in touch with that belief and continue to reduce the size of the belief in his subconscious mind.
Okay. So one of the things to remember also is that you are getting out of the matrix, but the matrix isn't getting out of the matrix. The matrix is what the matrix is. The matrix does what the matrix does. The matrix can only do what the matrix does, right? Yeah. So we're still living in the, we're still living surrounded by the matrix as long as we're in this human form, right? We're still going to be living in this thing called the matrix. You're just going to be out of it so you can view it differently. Now, what Chris just talked about is it takes time. I would imagine if he got upset for your being late, his belief he got in touch with would be something like, I'm not important. She doesn't care about me.
You get that.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, after doing over 50 of these classes, we can pretty well narrow down the belief. All right. So that's probably, if I were really important, you wouldn't have been late. Well, that's a false belief. Because who knows? I mean, and I don't know why you were late. You don't need to explain it, but it could have been traffic. It could have been any number of things. All right. Or you might have just forgot. Who knows? But the matrix is going to be the matrix. All right. And I'm not good enough. I'm not important. Is not a belief, as Chris just said, not a belief you're going to get rid of in, oh, I know what it is. Now it's gone. No. So don't get caught in this trap as well. All right. The getting out of the matrix is like a spiral. Okay. Now, if we were to take a spiral and look at it from the top, what would it look like? What would a spiral look like from the top?
Big.
Like a circle, right? We're looking at it from the top. We're looking down on the spiral and it looks like a circle. And that's how we tend to look at it. That's why people will say things like, I thought I was through with this. I thought I dealt with this. I thought this wasn't going to happen to me anymore. No, and you feel like you're going around in a circle, right? I thought I dealt with this before. I thought I dealt with this before. I thought I dealt with this before. When you look at it from the side now, you begin to see it's a spiral. So Scott dealt with, I'm not important at a certain level of the spiral, but he's going to keep moving up. And now it'll come up again at a different level of the spiral until it's cleared out. Okay. We've been practicing, I'm not important, I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable, right? We've been carrying that belief around for years and years and years, all right? Probably about since the time you were born. So you can do the math. We've been carrying this around for years, okay? Thinking we can get rid of it in one episode, no, isn't going to happen. How many different ways have we done I'm not important? I'm not lovable. I don't matter. We've done that in the years we've been on this planet. We've done that hundreds of different ways. Okay. So don't be surprised when it comes up again and again and again. But here's for that thing that Chris and I promised you on Friday night. We said, if you will take this in, one, your upsets will be less intense. They will happen less frequently. So that's what's going to happen. That I'm not lovable, I'm not good enough, whatever it is, will come up again as you move up the spiral, okay? But it will be less frequent and it will be less intense until the day comes when it just goes away. Just goes away, all right?
And the idea of shrinking the button is a great analogy here in the sense that as your button gets smaller and smaller and smaller, there's less to push. So you're moving up on that spiral that Tony described, and the button is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So less things are going to hit the button. There's going to be fewer things that upset you because your button has gotten smaller and smaller and smaller. And this is why we say to people, you can spend your life trying to manage the way other people show up, manage the way other people talk to you, manage the way other people do their thing, and try and do that and to get your peace, love, and joy. And that's an impossible task. Or you can manage shrinking your button, which is a totally doable task. And we know, and the reason we know that that's possible is partly we've done it for ourselves to some extent, but we've watched lots of people who've taken the Out of the Matrix weekend be able to do that. And Sylvia gave us a great example with her cousins, and that's a great example of identifying the button and shrinking the size of it, because when she brought it from her subconscious, it was a certain size. She brought it into her consciousness, and by recognizing the falsity of it, she shrunk the size of it.
Okay,
Right.
Doesn't mean it went away. Now, let me bring up something else we don't normally, on our slides anyway, we don't bring up in the weekend, which is that thing called reaction response.
Oh, yeah.
Which is what you all alluded to when you said, oh, they seemed like a villain for a while. And then I could see, and once I saw it work through it, they became a true friend. That's the difference between reaction and response, okay? The reaction was they're a villain. They shouldn't have said that. They shouldn't have done that. They hurt my feelings. They made me sad, whatever it may be. That's the reaction. The response that you give immediately is probably one of anger, one of fear, one of doubt. But as time elapses, you'll finally go, wait a minute. What did Chris and Tony say in that Out of the Matrix saying, oh yeah, it's a belief I hold. And once you get there, your response will shift from an in the matrix response to an out of the matrix response. Now, here's what's going to happen is that button gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller as we move up the spiral and keep dealing with it. The time lapse between reaction and response begins to shorten, and it keeps shortening and shortening and shortening until the day will come when someone may be late and Scott will just go, okay, I got it. It will happen that quickly. Don't worry about the reaction. The reaction is the reaction is the reaction because you've been practicing it for years and years and years. Okay to have the reaction. What you want to start looking at is the response time. How long does it take you to get into your out of the matrix thinking, find your peace again, find your love again, find your joy again? You're not, as Chris said, you're not going to do it in one time. Oh, I got it. That's my I'm not important belief. Done with that one. Got it. No, it'll come up again. Shorten the response time. It'll come up again. Reaction response comes closer together. It'll come up again. Reaction response comes closer together till the day comes when the reaction and the response are just moments apart. It's okay. Got it.
Marty, I'll get
Okay,
to
so watch.
Marty, I'll get to you in just a second. I just want to expand on something Tony said, which is key. This reaction, you got to be careful because in the matrix, there's little tricks that are in play in our mind. And one of the tricks in the matrix is you have this initial reaction and then you beat yourself up for that reaction. And that's what we do not want you to do. Don't beat yourself up. You're as Tony said, you're going to have an emotional reaction most probably. And if you beat yourself up, you're getting further into the matrix. Get that you had a reaction and that's okay. And then move past it. But if you get into beating yourself up for having this emotional reaction to someone being late or whatever it is, you're digging yourself deeper into the matrix. So don't beat yourself up for getting in the matrix. The only way to get out of the matrix is to catch yourself in it, as we said earlier. Marty, what's your question?
I'm going to start Scott a little bit here. Here,
You're breaking up. You're breaking up, Marty.
I got John. Can you hear me now?
A little better. Try it again.
I'm going to Scott a little bit here.
You're still breaking up.
What about Wendy? Wendy has an issue too. Well, I don't know what I could do.
You could type it. You could
Wendy's.
Marty, you could type your question into the chat.
Or try moving closer to your microphone.
Okay.
Just try leaning forward into your
You can
microphone.
see this.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Wendy and Scott. And Scott, you start sticking up for him. We have a certain issue too. That a person has an integrity and they're only, and if they don't show up on time,
Unfortunately, Marty, you're just not
people
coming in.
don't trust.
We're getting like every second or
Okay.
third word, Marty. So we're gonna have to pause on you, see what you can do to fix that situation. You can send it to us in an email or a text and ask us a question because it's just not working online right now.
Okay.
Yeah. Anybody else with any other questions or comments?
Section 13.
It's what?
Section 13.
Section 13. Not sure what that's a reference to.
No.
Are you talking about integrity?
Integrity. Integrity.
Yeah,
Yes.
we haven't gotten there yet for the people in the weekend. Yeah, we haven't done integrity yet.
Yeah, so we'll get there. Other
So
questions?
Wendy needs to work on the integrity.
Well, we don't know any, you're making an assumption, Marty, because we don't know why she was late.
Could have been a flat tire.
Yeah. Other questions or comments from anybody?
all the time.
Yeah, you're just breaking up a little too much, Marty. We're only getting like every fourth or fifth word. All right, anyone else with a question or comment? And hopefully we can hear you.
I just
Sylvia.
like what you explained about this reaction, because I thought in the past, I used to think that if I have the reaction, I have to believe. But the way you explain it is we're always going to have the reaction. And I experienced that today when I was on the highway, and I'm afraid of large trucks, semi trucks. And when I was driving, I had this reaction of fear, but I was listening to Joel Osteen and he said, "You're a hero." So I had this game today when I was driving. Every time I saw a large semi coming my way, I said, "I'm a hero. I'm a hero. I'm an overcomer." And it worked. So I just want to share that because that's a fear that I have, and Chris knows because I share that with him. And but it worked. But thank you for explaining that reaction. The reaction doesn't mean that it is true. It's just how long we stay with the reaction, right, Tony?
Yes, exactly. As a matter of fact, the reaction will tell you that what you're believing isn't true. Very good, Sylvia. Very good.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. Yeah. If your reaction is anything other than peace, love, and joy, that just simply means what you're believing now is not true.
Right. Right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Nisi, you got your hand up there, sweetie. What you got, Nisi?
Okay, are we just asking questions in general about anything we just learned?
Yes.
Yeah, or anything you have a question about, we'll take it.
Cool. So, this is kind of backtracking a little bit, kind of, not really.
Okay.
What if I feel peace, love, and joy when I smoke weed, and also when I don't smoke weed as well? Like, what if I just enjoy smoking weed? Is that a problem? Is that an issue? Like, I don't feel like I need it to survive, and definitely at like some point, you know, when I was hurt, I found myself smoking a lot. But now, like, you know, after I've gone through out of the matrix, I do have the desire to do it a lot less. But I still like, you know, I'm not. Do you see what I'm saying?
I do. And I was actually a drug counselor in the Navy, okay, for our submarine flotilla. And they told us there that there's a difference between use and abuse. The problem is most people will go from use to abuse because they're trying to cover up a pain. Okay. So this is a question only you can answer for yourself personally. But you've got to get sharp enough. You've got to get awake enough. You got to get rid of enough of your buttons to really realize whether you're using it or abusing it. And abuse is when we do, right, like either drugs or shopping or overeating or gambling or whatever it may be. When we're using it to satiate a pain, that's abuse. That's abuse. Okay. For example, there's nothing wrong with having a glass of wine occasionally after dinner. Nothing wrong with that. That's use.
Like,
yeah, that's use.
Okay. All right. Okay, then that makes a lot more sense. Because I'm just like, I don't necessarily see, like, I can understand how somebody would use marijuana in the sense to, like, you know, cope. And I can definitely see and admit that at one point in time, I did the same thing. And I can 100% admit that. But now, as like an individual looking at who I am as a person, I don't, you know, sometimes I just do, and it's fine, you know, it's fun to me, at least.
Yeah. So here's the way to test that out. When you feel like you'd like to light up a joint just to relax or whatever, right? See if you can go without it. And if you can go without it and still be at peace, now you're probably in that use phase. But see, just check yourself out. Can I go without it? Remember our distinction for an addiction. An addiction is something you seemingly cannot stop, right? So check yourself out if you can stop it, okay? A lot of people can't, because remember, most people are buried deep in the matrix. That's why it's kind of a slippery slope that you're talking about here. But the only way to really check that out is to see if you can go without it. As far as I'm concerned, there's no difference between marijuana, shopping, overeating, gambling, alcohol, right? Yeah, they're all the same to me. Right? It doesn't matter. So you need to check yourself out. And if you can go without it, let's say you want to do it, okay, I'm not going to do that today, and let's just see what happens. And let's just see if you stay at peace. Then you'll know. You'll know. Chris, anything you want to add to that, buddy?
No, that was a good answer. Absolutely right on. Yep. So unless anybody has any like pressing questions that they feel like they have to get answered at this moment, we're a little over time. So everybody's good for the moment, I hope. Okay. Great to see
Neville,
everybody.
good seeing you, brother.
Great to see everybody.
Great to see everybody.
Yeah.
Love you guys.
Bye. See you next week.
Oh, you're looking good, bro.
Bye-bye. Thank
Hey,
you. Thank you.
John, how you